Hey guys, how's it going today? Uploading a lot of videos for the NFL draft. I'm kind of going to give my final thoughts on the San Francisco 49ers as we continue to develop along this exercise here, which is the NFL draft. I wanted to say that the 49ers here at the number 9 pick, I'll tell you the players that I don't think are going to be available. I think that Quentin Nelson, I don't think there's any way that he gets past the Bears at number 8. Even if the Colts trade back, which a lot of people think that the Colts are going to do, Quentin Nelson's offensive line coach from Notre Dame is now on the Chicago Bears. So why would the Bears pass up a position of need that they can use? I mean, Josh Sitton was just released by the Chicago Bears. I think they have like one of the Long brothers on that offensive line. I know Cody Whitehair out of Kansas State was a player I really liked, and he's been a good center for them. I think Massey, their tackle, might be on the way out, but I think the Bears have a pretty good offensive line. Charles Leno's getting paid a bunch of money. Anyway, the Bears are probably going to take Quentin Nelson. I think the Giants will take Saquon Barkley. So those are two obvious needs. And then you look at number 7, and if the Bucks, keep their pick, they're either going to take Derwin or Minkah Fitzpatrick because I think they have Gaines in the secondary who's just okay. And then they have a pretty weak secondary. They can improve on that side of the football. Vernon Hargraves hasn't been the player that they pegged at number 9 that he was at Gainesville at Florida. So either Minkah or Derwin is going to slip. For the San Francisco 49ers, I think that both Minkah and Derwin are great fits. I think that Derwin is especially the greatest fit because you look at what Richard Sherman had in Cam Chancellor, and to me, Derwin James being 6'2" or 6'3", I think he weighs like 240 pounds. He is just a freak athlete. He can run like crazy. He's a guy that hits. Oh gosh, he's a guy that. Sorry about that. He hits just tremendously hard. And he's a guy that's going to be one of the faces of your defense, and he's willing to learn. He's a great kid. You don't have to worry about anything, I think, off the field with a guy like Derwin James, and he's just an alpha personality that John Lynch is just really going to connect with. I think I have a good feel for what John Lynch values in guys. He valued Solomon Thomas for the character. Being at Stanford, being a classmate of John Lynch. So I look at Derwin James, and I think that he is a really good possibility. Another guy that's a very good possibility is Roquan Smith because he checks all the boxes. He plays fast, he can hit, and his intangibles are tremendous, off the charts as well. Minkah the same way. So out of those 3 guys, you look at Tremaine Edmonds, he's also a possibility, but he's so young and raw. I just don't know if I wouldn't take a risk on a guy like that. I would select Derwin as my number 1 pick. If I were the 49ers, I think Derwin's going to be there at 9. He is just going to be such a talent. You're going to be able to play single high with him, and he's going to be like Chancellor, and he's going to bring the wood and bring the attitude, and you're not going to be able to throw over the middle without getting lit up by Derwin James. Richard's going to allow him to fly. Now, the thing about this cornerback class is a guy that's taken a huge dive is Josh Jackson from Iowa. He has taken a huge draft day slide. In the mock drafts, he was going as high as 12, as 14. He was going in the low teens. He is now in the high 20s. He might even fall out of the first round. The thing about Josh Jackson is he did have a great game against Ohio State, but he wasn't tested a lot in the Big Ten. He's a pretty good kid. He's a quiet kid. The thing with Josh Jackson is that he makes a lot of splash plays, but he also doesn't have as fluid hips as guys like Jair Alexander or Denzel Ward. Now, the thing about Denzel Ward and the thing about Alexander, really the problem I have with Denzel Ward is he is from Ohio State. That's a good thing. Marcus Lattimore, whatever, Marshawn Lattimore. I think it's Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State. His arm length is small, and I hear that's a deal breaker with the 49ers because they want a cornerback that has very long arms. So Denzel Ward, he sat out the bowl game. Who really cares? He's a guy that's kind of an alpha. When you listen to him, he's a guy that commands respect as well. You compare him and Sherman up together, and then Witherspoon's on the outs. You can kick him to nickelback. If you're going to select Derwin James, you could try to put Derwin or Minka at the cornerback position and keep in there Colbert. But Jaquiski Tart, there we go, on the second try. Jaquiski Tart. Love saying that. He's a guy that, again, can hit. He plays fast. He got hurt last year. He's a guy that's very good. So then you compare them up pretty nicely. I would take Derwin James. I like Fitzpatrick a lot better than I like Denzel Ward. Fitzpatrick, he's just all over the field. When you watch the Alabama Crimson Tide, he was a staple of a tremendous defense. Jeremy Pruitt, Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinators there. Fitzpatrick was a guy that as a freshman was getting pick sixes. As a sophomore, some guys like Brett Coleman compare him to Malcolm Jenkins, a real football guy. He doesn't have the same measurables as guys like Derwin James. So I'm going to go either Derwin or Minka at that slot. Whoever the Bucs do not take, you take. Because Tremaine Edmonds is too raw. Roquan Smith has trouble getting off of blocks, and he's a little bit undersized. So I know that Reuben Foster is out, but the bottom line is if you get Sherman such a special safety or cornerback, you got to do it in the first round. And there's going to be linebackers that are very good throughout this. This is a decent class for the linebackers, okay? Josie Jewell out of Iowa is slated in the third round, and he's a guy that is going to bring the lumber, and he's a guy that's going to chase down and make tons and tons of plays. The kid from Boise State is in the first round as well. It's a good linebacker class. I mean, you have Edmonds, you have Roquan Smith. You're going to be able to find linebackers throughout this draft. So I look at the 49ers now. No Carlos Hyde. The thing is that's weird about the 49ers and the thing about this draft class is Darius Geis, a lot of GMs are saying he's immature, which is strange. I thought Darius Geis at LSU seemed like he was mature beyond his years, but he's been missing on meetings. He's had a really poor showing in interviews thus far. I mean, that's what Peter King is saying. That's what the NFL has told us, is that he's missed interviews and done poorly. I think Sony Michel is a franchise running back. I think that he's probably the second best running back. But you look at Darius Geis. Darius Geis can carry a workload that is very, very good. But maybe, you know what guy I'm starting to like? And I've kind of pegged him lower on my draft boards than I should have. I've pegged him lower than guys like Michel, guys like Saquon Barkley, and Geis. Guy that's just really impressive on film is Rashad Penny out of San Diego State. And guys you listen to, Mike Mayock, really intelligent guys, will say that Rashad Penny out of San Diego State is a guy that has tremendous vision and racked up a ton of yards. And he did play, though, in a weaker conference. And, again, Donnell Pumphrey was a guy that was really a colossal failure for the Eagles. On the verge of being cut, just way too frail, not really an NFL caliber back. Rashad Penny seems like a different guy. Seems like he can be more of the Marshall Faulk San Diego State-esque running back than the Donnell Pumphrey kid was. So the things I hear about, the kid Rashad Penny, I really like. Tremendous vision, can make things out of nothing, can hit the home run play. So Rashad Penny's a guy that's flying up the boards as well. I'll just tell you some other guys that I like in this draft. Isaiah Oliver out of Colorado is a guy that has really long arms and plays really well on film for Colorado. And then Anthony Miller out of Memphis is a playmaker. He would be tremendous, I think, for the 49ers. I think Cortland Sutton is going to the Cowboys, and that's another guy that the Niners were looking at selecting. But in the first round, you got to get one of the safeties, I think, and then they have great versatility. James has versatility. Minka has versatility. If somehow a second cornerback can show up, that would be great, but I really like pairing Tart with that guy. And Colbert, he did play well in the Texans game. He had the strip. He has played well towards the end of the year. But if you get Richard Sherman a great safety to work with, because that's what they did in Seattle, they ensure a lot of trust in the safeties because they play zone. You have to be smart. You have to have IQ. Minka has that, and Derwin has that. And John Lynch being a safety, I think it's a perfect match. John gets to finally handpick his safety in year 2. Those are the guys I'd go with. Derwin number 1, Minka number 2. Don't even think past that point. That's what I would do if I were the San Francisco 49ers in this draft.